When my wife stood up in the middle of the restaurant and announced she was leaving me, I didn't feel shock. Not at first. What I felt was silence, the kind that swallows sound and freezes the air around you. Every head turned toward us, forks paused mid-air, conversations stopped mid-sentence. She looked radiant under the soft light, calm and rehearsed, like an actress nailing her final scene. I remember the faint shimmer of her bracelet as she placed her napkin neatly on the table and said, "I can't do this anymore, Adam. I'm done pretending." The words didn't make sense. Not yet. I just stared at her, waiting for a punchline. Around us, the noise of other people's dinners began to fade back in. Whispers, clinking glasses, someone stifling a gasp. "You're serious?" I managed, my voice low, steady, more curious than angry. Her eyes darted around the room for a moment before landing back on mine. "It's better this way," she said softly. That's when it hit me. She wanted witnesses. She wanted this to look real. And suddenly, I understood everything. The weeks of distance. The long work calls that made her smile differently. The way she'd suggested dinner here, of all places. The same restaurant where we'd celebrated our anniversary last year. She'd planned this. Every part of it. A public breakup designed not to humiliate her, but to humiliate me. But instead of breaking, I smiled. I don't know why. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was survival. Maybe, deep down, I knew this was the only way to keep my dignity intact. I raised my glass, tilted it toward her, and said, "Then let's celebrate it properly." The room went still again. She blinked, unsure if she'd heard me right. "What?" I stood, smile widening. "If you're leaving me, we should make it official. Everyone," I turned to the nearby tables. "Please, join us in a toast. My wife has decided to end our marriage." A few awkward laughs rippled through the room. Someone muttered, "Is he serious?" But I didn't care. I held my glass higher. "To endings," I said. "May they be as honest as beginnings." She froze, caught between anger and panic. Her hand twitched as if she wanted to grab my arm, stop me, but she couldn't. She'd lit the match, I was just letting it burn. Then she turned and walked out, heels clicking sharp against the tile. I stood there for another second, savoring the stunned silence before draining my glass and setting it down gently. "Thank you," I told the bewildered waiter. "The check's on her." Outside, the night air hit me like cold water. The streetlights blurred through the film of tears I didn't want to admit were forming. I laughed under my breath, the sound hollow. It wasn't humor, it was disbelief. The woman I'd built a life with, trusted completely, had just staged a performance to destroy me. And I'd played along. When I got home, her closet was already half empty. The drawers she used for her things were open, hollow. On the dresser, she'd left her wedding ring. It wasn't placed gently, it was thrown, the band slightly bent. Beside it sat a note, just 2 lines in her looping handwriting, "It's over. Don't make this harder." I stared at those words for a long time, until the letters stopped meaning anything. Then I noticed something beneath the note, a faint indentation, as if she'd written something else first, then pressed too hard when crossing it out. I tilted the paper under the light. It said, "He'll be here soon." The sound that escaped me was somewhere between a laugh and a growl. I folded the note and slid it into my pocket. Half an hour later, headlights cut across the window. A black car. Same make as the one I'd seen idling near our house 2 weeks earlier, the night she said she was at her sister's. I moved to the front window, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. The car stopped. The driver didn't get out immediately. Then the door opened, and a man stepped into the porch light. Tall, neatly dressed, with a nervous energy that made my stomach twist. He hesitated, looking toward the door. I didn't move. He rang the bell once. Then again. I opened the door slowly, smiling just enough to unsettle him. "You must be he," I said quietly. His eyes widened. I think there's been." "No mistake," I said, cutting him off. "You're exactly where you're supposed to be." He swallowed hard. "I came to see my wife," I asked, leaning against the doorframe. "She's not here." She's on her way to somewhere new, I suppose. But please, come in. He hesitated, eyes flicking past me into the dark hallway. I think I should. I stepped aside. She planned a show tonight. You were part of the script, weren't you? His jaw clenched. He didn't answer. That was answer enough. He finally said, "You don't understand," she told me. "I understand perfectly," I said. "She told you I was the problem. That she was trapped. That you were the savior. Am I close?" He looked down, shame flickering across his face. "She said you'd moved on first." I laughed bitterly. Of course she did. He started to back away. I didn't mean to. Stop. My voice cracked, but I kept my composure. You don't get to act innocent now. You knew she was married. You knew she was lying to someone. You just didn't care who it hurt. For a moment, we stood there, two strangers bound by the same lie. Then I stepped back and let him leave. He muttered something like "I'm sorry," but it meant nothing. The car door slammed, tires crunched against gravel, and the sound faded into the night. When I finally shut the door, the silence of the house settled on me again. It felt emptier than before, like her absence had hollowed the walls. I walked to the kitchen, poured a drink, and sat at the table where she used to sit in the mornings, scrolling her phone with that soft, secret smile. For years, I'd believed that smile was for me. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at nothing. Long enough for the ice in my glass to melt, long enough for the ache in my chest to dull into something colder. The next morning, my phone buzzed with messages. Mutual friends. Concerned relatives. "We saw the video," one text read. "Are you okay?" I froze. The video. I opened social media. There it was, a clip someone had recorded at the restaurant, already spreading like wildfire. The title read, "Wife publicly dumps husband, his reaction is priceless." I watched myself on the screen, calm and smiling while she tried to make a spectacle of me. The comments poured in beneath it. He handled it like a king. "She's heartless." He knew something. For the first time in weeks, I smiled, not out of pain this time, but something darker. She'd tried to humiliate me in front of strangers, but she'd only exposed herself instead. That night, I left town. I didn't text her, didn't call. I didn't even tell anyone where I was going. I drove until the city lights disappeared in the rearview mirror and the world turned quiet again. Sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still see her standing in that restaurant, rehearsed and beautiful, breaking my heart in front of an audience. And I think about how she thought she was ending something. She didn't end it. She only changed the stage.